Hello, I'm Chaplain Harry Varnon, and we will review what regulations provide guidance on religious accommodation and procedures. I'm a 30-year member of the military, preparing to retire in August 23rd, 2022. I have 18 years of enlisted service, received my officer's commission in June 2011, and deployed twice. As a chaplain on the front lines of religious accommodation, this new policy provides relief for an untold number of service members who would like to continue their military service, however, with an exception or accommodation. Please give me your name and one thing you enjoy doing to relax. I'll start. As I mentioned, I'm Harry Varnon, a chaplain with the 323rd Military Intelligence Battalion. I enjoy sitting on my deck with a Pepsi or a cup of coffee in the evening watching the sunset. That's the end of my day, and that's how I relax. Please tell me your name and what you do to relax. Let's start from my right, and we'll go work our way across the room. Thank you so very much for participating and sharing how you relax. You allowed us to take a peek into your personal life, and I appreciate that. Just remember, the next time we're out and you think of in the evening, the sunset, maybe you think of me sitting on my deck with a Pepsi, or you think of your classmate and what they're doing to relax. Before we get started, I'd like to establish some basic rules for the class. First, please raise your hand. Wait until you're acknowledged before speaking. Second, please do not interrupt anyone who is speaking. And third, please remember that everyone and every question are vital to comprehension and growth. Respected. Those are my three basic rules. At the conclusion of this class, you'll receive an online test via email. Please respond in 10 minutes or your submission will not be accepted. The date stamp on your email will determine the time responded. I will also text the question to everyone. Please respond to the text within 10 minutes if you cannot get to your computer or if your computer is malfunctioning. I want to give everyone an opportunity to respond to this assessment. If you need an exception, please speak with me right after class, and I will work something out with you that will help you with your exception. Don't stress out so much over this first assessment. This class is broken down into 6 sessions. The first session, this one, is an update on the revised regulation. Where can you find it? Where can you find a regulation for religious accommodation? And the assessment will only count for 2% of your grade. Session 2, we'll talk about the foundation of religious liberty and religious accommodation in the United States Army. That session will count for 10% of your grade. Session 3, we'll talk about changes as a result of AR 600-20, and that will count for 8%. It will be broken down into 2 sessions, paragraph 5-6 and the appendix P. But those 2 sections will count for 2 or 3 points each, but the entire session will count for 8 points. Session 4, we'll talk about the roles. Who participate in religious accommodation and what are their roles? That session will count for 25% of your grade. It's a big section. It's a lot to cover, but I'm sure each and every one of us will determine what our roles are, what the role is for the person to our left and right, and if they need assistance, how to assist them with whatever they need. That's 25%. Session 5 is 25%. Supplemental resources, memorandum formats, policies, what documents are needed, how do you phrase the statements for religious accommodation. We'll go over that. Help you get through that and make sure that you know how to write your memorandum. And then our final class will be 30% of your grade. Most of it about participation. It's 30%. It will consist of scenarios. It'll consist of group discussion and group activities. And what will be a session and what I'll be grading on is how much information are you providing to the group and what you'll be doing in those scenarios. Are you participating? What language to use? Where do you go to find the information? Those things are important. Are there any questions regarding the class rules, grading, or the examinations? Great. Let's get started. In 2011, I attended class, Chipotle, Chaplain Basic Officer Leadership course, with a groundbreaking new chaplain admitted to the United States Army Reserve. His name is Chaplain Stern. He's a Jewish Orthodox chaplain. He was the first person admitted to the Army Reserve with a full Jewish Orthodox beard. How did it happen? Religious accommodation. He had to sue to get it. Because of that, the military is constantly revising and changing its policies on religious accommodation. Prior to Chaplain Stern, a male could only have a beard that was 3/4 of an inch. And trust me, people would go around looking beards and trying to measure, is it more than 3/4 of an inch? But that's all you could have. And then you would have to carry your accommodation, your exemption around with you in your pocket. That would no longer be the case because of our new regulation. The revised accommodation for religious accommodation is found, and this is important. This is what you need to know. It's found in Army Regulation 600-20, dated July 24th, 2020. Once again, the new Army Regulation, revised and updated, is found in Army Regulation 600-20, dated July 24th, 2020. This regulation supersedes all other Army directives. This regulation is now the new Bible for a religious accommodation. So I will need everyone to get a copy of the new Army regulation, and it must be dated. When? July 24th, 2020. That's correct. If it's not dated July 24th, 2020, that's not the one that we'll be using. So it must be dated July 24th, 2020. You can get it virtually, or you can get a hard copy so that you can have it. But that will be our guide for the next 5 sessions. So make sure you get your copy of it. Army Regulation 600-20, dated July 24th, 2020. It simply states that a service member can now request a religious accommodation through the chain of command to get an exemption. As a chaplain, I have done over a dozen religious accommodations for my unit. Soldiers who did not want to take the vaccine came to me and applied. That's what this Army regulation provides. How do you do that? When we first started, there wasn't really a guideline or any rules. We were getting changes every day, every month. How do you do it? And what do you go by doing it? Now we have a Bible as to this is how memos should look. These are the questions that you should ask. These are the answers that should be in your memo. That's what we have now. And that's what the Army regulation provides us. It not only allows a soldier an opportunity to provide to request a regulation accommodation, it also says that the military can deny it if it breaks up cohesion, if it's detrimental or harmful to the Army mission. Those are things that cannot be touched. If it does, then it will not be awarded. I have a soldier asked me about a religious accommodation. I will be reviewing it, asking him questions regarding his accommodation. And guess what he would like? He would like to have the Fridays off. We'll see what happens. He says it's for religious reasons. We'll see. But that's the religious accommodation. Those are the things that now service members can do in order to continue the free exercise of their religion. Are there any questions? Once again, what is the regulation? Where can we find regulation for religious accommodation? AR 600-20, dated July 24th, 2020. Very good. Remember, you will receive an email assessment. Please respond to the email assessment in 10 minutes. Once I receive your email assessment, then I will grade you. And if I don't get it within 10 minutes, it will not be dated. For those, everyone will get a text email. If you cannot respond to the email text message, everyone that can't respond to the email, please respond to your text and let us know that, and then I will take that as your assessment. If there are no other questions, I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a good evening.